He was going through her phone looking for news.
The investigation was handled with integrity and honor.
In the Karen Reed case, our focus in this episode is on Sergeant Yuri Bukhenik. He was the supervising Massachusetts State Police sergeant again over lead investigator Michael Proctor. And Bukhenik said that, with regard to those texts that Proctor was seeking the pictures of Karen Reed nude, it wasn't that big of a deal, and he might not even have seen them.
Did this guy really say that Proctor conducted the investigation with honor and integrity? I'm Lainey Law.
And I'm attorney Andrew Myers, and those were Trooper Bukhenik's words.
It is disgusting. I mean, honestly, one of the main things that resonated from trial one was Proctor's really gross and inappropriate texts, which aren't even really appropriate for, in my opinion, for day-to-day relationships that you would have with people. These aren't even texts that you would send to your friends. And you're going to say that this guy's doing a good job at his work when he's communicating inappropriately like that. I can't even think of a workplace that I've been at where they would even let that slide. I mean, Andrew always talks about his experiences working and growing up and talking like sailors, but this is just a whole different level.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just don't talk like that. But the lead investigator, and we're going to show you documents later on where even though Sergeant Bukhenik wants to back away from the fact that Proctor was the lead investigator in the Karen Reed case, that there really was a failure here of supervision, and Mr. Proctor is no longer with the state police. We'll show you the document where he is confirmed to be the lead investigator, regardless of what Mr. Bukhenik wants to say. But Sergeant Bukhenik was confronted with lead investigator Michael Proctor over the top texts, including that he was looking for nudes of Karen Reed. And Bukhenik pushed back against defense attorney Alan Jackson's statement that Proctor, put it in writing and Bukhenik liked it.
Acknowledged it by responding with a thumbs up emoji.
The fact is, Trooper Proctor told you, his supervisor, in this series of text messages that he was going through Miss Reed's phone. Is that right?
Correct.
And he also informed you, his supervisor, that he was going through her phone looking for nudes or naked pictures of her on her phone. Correct?
He's looking down.
He did not tell me that he was going through the naked pictures, for naked pictures through the phone.
He
Wait
wrote,
a minute, that's
no nudes so far, right?
That is what is written, yes.
What did you think he was looking for when he wrote that phrase?
Loser.
I don't know what he was looking for.
What would be a reasonable interpretation of what Michael Proctor was looking for when he wrote, no nudes so far?
Is that unbelievable? I mean, obviously, I don't know whether he was coached by Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan or he himself has studied and learned how to just be as evasive as possible in a cross-examination. But I just wonder, how does this play to a jury?
I can't imagine any universe where this is going well with the jury. I mean, there's always things to surprise you, but this is he just sounds insane right now. So it's really just a matter of if the jury's paying attention, because I mean, even though it's a big case, I don't know. I can't imagine being that's the thing, is if you put me on jury duty, I wouldn't be able to, I'd be clocked out 70% of the time. And everybody always complains they don't want juries. So while this is a big case, you got to hope that they're actually paying attention to what's going on.
I don't know.
Motorcycles, handbags, pair of shoes, or naked pictures of Miss Karen Reed?
His mission was to go through the phone to look for digital evidence that's related to the crime. The fact that he wrote no nude so far, I cannot comment on.
you cannot comment on or you don't want to comment on?
I don't know what he was looking for in that specific time.
You certainly did nothing. You took no action to stop him from potentially looking for naked pictures of my client, correct?
That's correct.
In fact, last week you testified that in your view, Michael Proctor handled himself in this investigation with integrity. That's what you said, correct?
That's correct.
Do you stand by that testimony?
The investigation was handled with integrity and honor.
Do you stand by your testimony that Michael Proctor conducted himself during the course of this investigation with integrity?
Yes, I do.
You notice that in one of those answers, when he was asked whether Mr. Proctor had, conducted himself with integrity and honor, he tried to pull back, and instead of saying yes or no, and it was a yes or no question, he pulled back and he said, well, the investigation, not referring to Mr. Proctor, but referring to the investigation. So that's how some people respond to cross-examination. They parse and they don't answer a yes or no question with a yes or a no, and they kind of restate things in their own way, which is just, I don't know. The jury is said to be relatively young, people in their 30s, which to me is young, and I think as jurors go, it's young, and I'm just wondering, I think we have a generation that has been brought up, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think we are in an era when younger people have brought up without just an ingrained respect for authority. So I don't know how this is playing. I really don't.
I don't know. As he's just talking and thinking, just how are these words even? You're going to say that he was doing this with honor, integrity. Then why doesn't he still have his job? That's my thought, is that, and as technology gets even more advanced, being on jury is going to be crazy because all these people have cell phones. They can just look up that Proctor is no longer with the police force. It's like, this is just embarrassing. I think it is humiliating for this guy to go on stand and act like there was nothing wrong with that conversation. If it's act like that's not a misuse of power, I hate both of them now. It's just like, you could have saved your face and you chose that this is trying to get a guilty conviction is worth more than just saving your own face. You look like a clown, dude. Oh my God.
Well, I have to correct you on one thing that you said. And as a Massachusetts attorney, and I think I'm one of the only Massachusetts attorneys covering this case. I know there are attorneys all over the country that are focusing in on this, but I think I am one of the only Massachusetts attorneys covering this case by podcast. But the thing I wanted to say to you is that you said that the jurors could go on their cell phones, and look things up. And I think you're right, but I have to point out that Judge Cannone every single day admonishes the jury when the day is over that do not look at media reports, social media. Be careful with your social media. This case and your verdict must be based only on the evidence in this courtroom. And so they are. And then when they come in the morning, the jurors, Judge Cannone admonishes them again and asks them, have you, read, seen, or heard anything in the news or social media or by any other? So they're not supposed to, go outside, but with a generation of people who have grown up with social media and cell phones and tablets and everything else, I am not the only person that wonders whether they resist that temptation. But anyhow,
they can't even. I just want to say they can't even, because they're sitting in this courtroom. Their phone is hearing Karen Reed. They go on TikTok. You can't scroll 3 things without TikTok showing you exactly. It's like reels, shorts. You don't even choose when you get exposed to. Anyway, sorry.
Not at all. No, it's fine. Bukhenik also bristled at Jackson referencing Proctor's status as lead investigator. Bukhenik backpedaling, calling Proctor I have to get this right, a subordinate and the case officer. Despite Proctor's off-color texts, Jackson noted that Bukhenik gave Proctor a glowing quarterly performance review as his supervisor.
You were also comfortable enough with that text chain to receive information that your subordinate was looking for naked pictures on a suspect's phone, a woman, no less. Correct? You took no remedial action against Trooper Proctor for that, correct?
No, I did not, no.
Do you believe, as you sit here, that that was a misuse of power and authority by a Massachusetts state police officer?
By myself or somebody else?
By Michael Proctor.
He doesn't want to answer the question, and he's trying to come up with something to say to divert attention.
He
Misuse.
looks and sounds insane. He just looks like a lunatic for these pregnant pauses and this just not changing look on his face and just being so obviously trying to skirt around these questions. Like, just like, just be like, I don't know. Just be honest. You're in court, sir.
Misuse of authority and power to go through a suspect's phone, to get her phone using the authority and the power vested in that officer by the community members. That's the power that you derive, correct? You work for the public. Would you agree?
Objection. Sustained.
Do you believe it was a misuse of his authority and power to use Massachusetts State Police Authority to go through her phone and look for naked pictures of her?
Objection. Sustained.
Do you believe it was a misuse of authority or power to go through her phone and potentially look for nudes?
Objection. Sustained.
Let me ask it differently. Did you think his text was appropriate?
I don't remember reading that text.
As you sit here now, do you think that text is appropriate?
No, it is not.
Do you think it's professional?
No, it is not.
Do you think it shows integrity?
That text message does not show integrity.
Do you think it shows honor? A word I expect you hold dear.
That text message does not show honor.
Gross.
On October 15th, 2022, you completed a performance review of Michael Proctor, correct?
That's correct.
Specifically, you were asked to rank his, quote, oral and written communication skills, end quote, correct?
Correct.
That's part of an overall evaluation and performance review, is that right?
Yes, overall 90-day, quarterly, annual review.
You were specifically asked to rank whether he effectively would whether members, your subordinates, would effectively communicate with others, both within and outside the department, in oral and written form, correct?
That's correct.
And you rated him as exceptional, a number 4 rating out of 5, correct?
That's correct.
Exceptional. Exceptional. All right. So this went on for quite a while on day 14 of the Karen Reed retrial. At some point, Judge Cannone did say, let's move on, even though I'm sure there was a lot more. And they didn't get into some of the more vile, obscene language that had been used by Michael Proctor. But remember the inverted video of the backwards Lexus?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then we come to that. And Defense Attorney Alan Jackson showed Sergeant Bukhenik and the jury the famous Canton Police Department Sallyport video of Karen Reed's Lexus shown inverted backwards. I don't like that word inverted. It's too passive. It was shown backwards, all right, in the first trial, which the court requires in this trial can only be referred to as a prior proceeding.
Do you see what's depicted in this video?
Yes, I do.
This is the video that you were shown at a prior proceeding, correct?
Yes, it is.
Does this appear to be the interior of the Sallyport at Canton PD?
Yes, it is.
And this is what you were questioned about regarding the SUV being pulled into the Sallyport, correct?
Yes.
And just in case our viewers, I'm sure our viewers know this already, but for anyone that's new to the case, and there are people that are just starting to follow this, this is the backwards, inverted picture that was shown the jury in the prior proceeding, as it's called now. And we're looking at what, would be the passenger side if someone is coming into this for the first time, like the 12 jurors in the first case. But no. This is the backwards inverted video. And that becomes really important. It's not like just Bukhenik tried to brush it off, but here's why it's important.
From a time frame standpoint, just the time frame, this is right after the SUV has been driven in from the flatbed after having been seized in Dighton, correct?
Yes, it was driven off of the flatbed after transportation from Dighton to Canton PD and driven into the Sallyport.
All right. You previously have identified individuals in this video, in this still shot, correct?
Yes.
And what you previously said, and we'll get to subsequent testimony in a second, you previously indicated that the person to the right was you, person to the left, Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes, previously I identified that being Michael Proctor. I was mistaken. That is not me on the right.
That would be the tow truck driver, correct?
That's correct.
That is, in fact, Michael Proctor, however, in the two-tone jacket, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And as the video is portrayed, at least as we're looking at it, and I'll get to the next question next, as we're looking at it, it appears that we're looking at the right passenger side of the vehicle, as it appears in this video, correct?
That's correct.
And you see a timestamp and a date stamp on the bottom, correct?
It is present. I don't know what it says.
Okay, can we highlight that just a little bit?
There it is on the bottom there. See.
Can you see what that says?
I believe it says interior Sallyport back wall.
Okay.
53710 maybe.
Okay. When you indicated that this was a fair and accurate depiction of the interior Sallyport when the SUV was brought in, you were specifically asked whether or not you or Michael Proctor approached or manipulated or touched the right rear taillight area of the vehicle, correct?
I don't remember the exact verbiage used, but in something along those lines, that's what was asked.
And you indicated that neither of you did, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But in point of fact, this video is backward, correct?
Yes, it is a mirror image of what is actually taking place as recorded by the camera.
So he's trying to say that this is actually, accurate and fair and all of that when it's backwards. He doesn't like the word backwards or inverted. He will not confirm those words. He says it's an accurate mirror image. That's all. It's harmless, but not so harmless.
Can we play this forward?
Yes.
Do you see where Mr. Proctor, let's go ahead and pause it. Do you see where Mr. Proctor went?
Yes, the video depicts him going to that portion of the vehicle, but we can't tell how close he is.
Okay. And
He looks pretty darn close. He's so close that the Lexus kind of blocks him, and every now and then you see his head popping up right behind the vehicle.
the back, from all appearances, importantly, it appears to be the back driver's side, back left of the vehicle, correct?
That's the way it appears, yes.
But this is Alice's Wonderland where everything is backwards and upside down.
Let's play this forward for a second. Pause. Can I ask you to pay special note to the far rear side of the vehicle? Do you see what appears to be Mr. Proctor's head
Yes.
as the tow
What the hell is he doing hunched down like that?
truck driver walks past the rear of the vehicle. Can you watch and tell me if you see Mr. Proctor do anything or move in any way? Let's go ahead and play it forward. Pause. Did you see any volitional movement by Mr. Proctor as the tow truck driver moved past him?
Yes, it appears if that is his head, it shifted weight.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it forward. Stop. Did you see a person that appeared to morph toward the back of the vehicle? Right there.
There is some anomaly there with the footage, so it
An anomaly.
could possibly be used to describe.
It's an anomaly. We're going to show you in a minute, we're going to show you a real anomaly. I can't even say it. Anomaly. We're going to show you a real anomaly where people appear and disappear. But let's follow this to the end.
What took place?
Can you recognize that person?
I cannot know.
You indicated previously, does that person look large or small in stature
I can't tell.
as compared to, for instance, Michael Proctor, whose head you can see above the car? What about this person? Taller, shorter than Michael Proctor?
I can't tell from here. I can't.
You indicated that Chief Berkowitz was a smaller statured person, correct?
I never said that.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know his height.
Larger or smaller? Generally. How about this? Larger or smaller than you?
He's shorter than me.
Okay. Can you tell whether or not that is Chief Berkowitz?
I cannot know.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it for him. And a little bit further. Pause. What does it appear that Mr. Proctor does at this point in the video?
He's walking.
Okay, do you see anything in his hand?
I cannot tell from the video, but that he might be carrying something.
Oh, what could that be that he's carrying? He was lurking back by what we all thought before we realized it was the inverted video in the prior proceeding. But it turns out that when you look at it the correct way, which we're going to in a minute, he's lurking back there by the passenger's side tail light, which was the one that the prosecution is trying to claim was what hit John O'Keefe. And then he walks away with something in his hands.
And he's back there for a while too. He's back there for anomalies to appear.
An anomaly. Look, I can say I don't think it's a donkey's because that would stand out in bright pink and orange. So I don't think it's a donkey's.
Remember we looked previously at a portfolio, black portfolio. Does it appear that he may have a black portfolio in his hand?
That is very likely, but I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this forward. Okay.
I've got to show you something. I've got to show you something that if you did not notice this, it blows your mind. So I'm going to go back a little bit. Okay. See if I can stop it there. Okay. Now. Okay. See the front of the car where the hood is that has some snow on it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You see behind that, it looks like they hung their bicycles up on the wall.
Yeah.
Behind the hood. Behind the hood. The hood has some snow on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That someone made a feeble attempt to clear, but it's not all cleared, right?
Yeah.
And then behind that, it looks like they hung their bicycles up. Maybe it's just something else that's circular. But you see that area right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, focus on that. Watch that really carefully as I start the video up.
Remember we looked previously at a portfolio, black portfolio. Does it appear that he may have a black portfolio in his hand?
That is very likely, but I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this forward.
Wow, an anomaly!
Did you see that? Did you see that? Should I play it again?
Oh my goodness.
A person just appeared. Okay, here we go. Watch.
I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this forward.
Did you see that?
Damn, these police officers are pretty talented. Honestly, give the like if they're just able to appear out of thin air, they are definitely a special task force.
Now, unless the Canton Police Department has Scotty as an employee and can just beam people up, this video was altered. This video was edited. This video was manipulated and put together. Someone cut something in and cut something out. And where a court will not allow the metadata in, we don't know what happened. And this is not the only example. There's other, we could do a whole episode playing the whole thing that was shown to the first jury, and people jump, people are walking across and they jump. So this is a manipulated video that's being shown for the second time to a second jury. Phony stuff, phony baloney stuff is being showed to a second jury in this case.
It's crazy. It's kind of weird and kind of impressive what they've managed, because I don't know, like, editing videos, how you would manage to just not notice that and like try to make it look more natural. But I'm also impressed by their ability to make things just appear out of thin air. It's like
well, yeah, I mean, if you have a camera that's locked down on a tripod, all right, you have the background and the other static objects are going to remain. So if you edit and people aren't looking closely, everything stays the same except for people that are moving around. And this isn't the only example of the video that was shown to the first jury and now a second jury, just this one little clip that I'm showing you. This proves that it is an altered, manipulated, edited video. And for a court to allow this to happen without, the metadata of the original or a true duplicate, I think I made the point. So we're going to move on. Okay. And now we're going to take a look.
Did it appear that somebody just appeared at the front right, the right-hand side of the screen toward the front of the SUV as well?
Yes, it appears that way, yes.
Okay.
So they even acknowledge that just by, again, Scotty must have just beamed this guy down to the Canton Police Department. So, all right. So that is the way the video was shown to the first jury, inverted. But then Alan Jackson showed Sergeant Bukhenik and the jury the famous Canton PD Sallyport video of Karen Reed's Lexus the right way. And he showed the way it would look.
Now, Sergeant, what does this show?
It appears to be the mirror image of the previous footage. I don't know the exact timestamp there, but
can we increase the date and time?
This also means a puzzle game.
Do you see? Can you read the date and timestamp on this Chiron?
I cannot now.
It's because it's backward, correct?
I can't read it. I can't make it out, sir.
Can you make it any bigger, Mr. Wolk?
There we go. There we go. You can just barely see it on the bottom.
Backward?
You can just barely see it on the bottom.
Based on me recognizing some of the digits, it does appear to be backwards.
Okay, let's look at the whole screen again. Sergeant, let's play this forward for just a quick second.
So now we're seeing it the right way.
Pause. Do you see Michael Proctor in this video?
I believe that's him, yes.
And which side, and let's start with this. Do you agree that this is the correct version of the camera angle and the SUV as it pulled into the Sallyport?
This is the footage, the way that is depicted right now is very accurately very accurately represent.
It could have just been a yes or a no. Was a yes or no question. Could have just said yes or no, but here we go with word salad.
That's what I remember from being there.
In fact, this side of the vehicle that we're looking at that's closest to us, that I'm highlighting on the screen to your right, that is in fact the driver's side of the vehicle, not the passenger side of the vehicle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
The far side over here would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Which area is Michael Proctor walking to? The left rear or the right rear in this footage?
It appears if that's him, he's walking to the right rear of the vehicle.
Can we play this forward? And do you see Mr. Proctor's head above the SUV?
Yes.
And watch him as the tow truck driver walks by. Did he appear to move?
He shifted weight, yes.
And it appears that there's another person that showed up in the footage, an anomaly of some sort.
An anomaly.
Walking off screen left to right. Is that right?
That's what it appears, yes.
Is Mr. Proctor still at the right rear taillight area?
He's in that general vicinity, yes.
Let's go ahead and play it forward.
There he goes.
A little bit further. Pause.
There he goes.
Can you see anything in his hand? Let me just ask it closed in. Do you see the portfolio in his hand?
It would not be unlikely that it's there, but I can't tell exactly what it is in his hand.
Let's play it forward. Do you see anything in his hand now as his arm?
Yes, yes.
Does it appear to be consistent with the black portfolio that we saw earlier?
Yes, it is, yes.
Let's move forward. And he is now off screen, correct?
Yes.
So, in point of fact, Sergeant, when you were asked previously whether the prior video fairly and accurately depicted what you recall as it pertains to the SUV and the Sallyport, that was not quite true, correct?
Objection. I'll allow it.
The way I understood the question is what I'm watching accurately depicts what's taking place. It is. Just because it's a mirror image doesn't mean that it's not recording what the actions and what is transpiring.
But you would agree, at least, that the previous video showed exactly the opposite of what was true and correct, not just a mirror image. What was left is right, and what is right is left, correct?
Sustained is to that form.
Would you agree that in point of fact, a mirror image video is not a true and accurate depiction of what's depicted in a scene?
I think it just is a mirror image of what's taking place. If you see someone walking in or driving a vehicle and it's depicting the action of the vehicle being pulled in, and if it's mirrored, it's pulling in from left to right or right to left. It's still documenting the activity that's taking place.
Or if someone walks to the left rear of the vehicle versus the right rear of the vehicle, those two things will be switched, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you'll agree that the prior video that we showed, that you and I just talked about, the inverted video, appeared for all intents and purposes to show Michael Proctor stay away from the from the right rear taillight, walk all the way around, and position himself to the left rear taillight. You'd agree with that, correct?
Objection. Do you agree with that? I'll allow it.
It appeared that that is what was happening, but he was standing next to the taillight that was already damaged.
Getting an answer out of this guy is like pulling the proverbial teeth. And I don't think a lot of attorneys would really, really push as hard as Alan Jackson has. He's a fantastic attorney. He knows how to, when he's rebuffed, and the more Bukhenik pushes and tries to squirm out of these issues, the more Jackson comes around. He rephrases it, even when the judge says sustained objections by Mr. Brennan. He keeps going Mr. Bukhenik should realize that, Sergeant Bukhenik should realize that he's going to be forced to answer the question. And if it's a yes or no question, he's going to have to give the answer, because if he doesn't, he's going to get 20 more questions. So it's almost as though, just answer the question.
But in the corrected video, which is this one, it actually shows unequivocally that Michael Proctor walked directly to the right rear taillight portion of this SUV. Correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. In the corrected video, this video here, this unequivocally shows that Michael Proctor walked toward the right rear area of that SUV, where the right taillight is. Correct?
Yes.
And you'll also agree
Agreed to
that
correct
this
it.
video was taken before any taillight material was ever found at 34 Fairview, correct?
Can you zoom in on time?
Not on this one, this is backwards.
I know that the SUV pulled into the garage at the Sallyport at 5:35, and we were still on scene at 5:51, almost 52. So, yes, if that's timestamp before 5:51, before we left Canton PD, then yes, taillight pieces had already been found.
So 5:35, 5:37 is before the first taillight pieces were found. Right.
I'd have to see a timestamp of when they were exactly found, but if
Let me
that...
ask it a different way. 5:37, 5:35 is before 5:45.
Yes.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
So this was almost at the end of the cross-examination of Mr. Bukhenik. It's almost at the time when, after days and days and days, Alan Jackson had finally done what I perceive to be pretty good damage to Mr. Bukhenik, who, remember, he's the supervisor. As much as they want to back away from lead investigator Michael Proctor, someone's got to fill the role of being the primary, authority for the state police, and this is Bukhenik.
Sergeant, Canton PD is about a mile and a half from 34 Fairview, is that right?
Approximately. I don't know the exact distance. I never measured it, but I would not be shocked if you were accurate in that.
Maybe a 3 or 4 minute drive.
Depending on the traffic.
So obviously the Commonwealth is trying to back away from Michael Proctor being the lead investigator, even though he was, and they're trying to supplant his lead role with Mr. Bukhenik, and it's just, I don't think it's going to work. I just why don't we ask our viewers to tell us down below, do you think that the jury is going to buy that Mr. Proctor was he was inconsequential to this case, and that Mr. Bukhenik is the one that really is the lead? So let me show you. To me, this was extraordinary. This is our usual midweek comments edition, but I just thought that the testimony of Yuri Bukhenik was just something that really, can't be minimized at all. This is how one of the Boston newspapers, the Boston Herald, which everybody reads who's a commuter, because you can't read the broadsheet that doesn't have any news in it anyhow. You can't read. Well, I spent $6 to, I hadn't seen it for a long time. So one Sunday I spent $6 for the Sunday Globe. There's nothing in it. It's all features that are written during the week by people drinking their lattes at their desk. There's really little or no actual real news in that paper. They give a lot of backgrounders. They talk about, anyhow, this is the newspaper that commuters read on the bus and the train and I speak from personal knowledge. Boston Herald, naked truth, vile texts expose state police. No hiding Stady's bad behavior. Read Howie, that's Howie Carr, the columnist, who's been following this case very, very closely on almost a daily basis. So I just thought I wanted to share with our viewers who come from all over the world, as we know, and we're going to see that slide in a minute. People all over the world are watching this, but they aren't necessarily privy to the local press. Now, one thing that Alan Jackson mentioned in his cross-examination of Mr. Bukhenik was the state police supervisor. Now, and he asked whether he was familiar with some of the things that he's written about this case. Well, let's take a look. Again, this is the personnel order. And the specific question that was asked is, and you're aware that Jeffrey Noble is the superintendent of the Massachusetts State Police? Well, yes. So that was a way of probably introducing this document, which is the Massachusetts State Police, Department of State Police personnel order. We've read it before, but it confirms that Mr. Proctor was the lead investigator of this investigation. And he was dismissed, but twice on 2 different counts. Trooper Proctor, while assigned as the lead investigator in this case. So as much as the Commonwealth seems to now want to back away from Michael Proctor being the lead investigator, there it is. And Alan Jackson skillfully kind of referred to, geez, would you confirm that Gerald Noble is the superintendent of the Mass State Police? So hopefully this goes into the jury. Hopefully the jury can see that as much as, now multiple law enforcement officers who've been on the stand in this case in the first 3 weeks, multiple officers who've tried to back away from Michael Proctor being the lead investigator, there it is in this document. Hopefully they'll highlight it, at least in their attention, as I just have. So
I don't know if it was a better or worse strategy for them to try to distance themselves, because it makes them look worse when we have it there in writing that he was the lead investigator. I wonder if it would have been better for the jury if they could have just admitted it and got it out of the way. But at the same time, it's like one bad apple spoils the bunch. So if they're admitting that he was, not working appropriately, then that makes the rest of them up to interpretation.
Sure does. So I guess it is now time to take a look at our commenters that they've really chimed in the last couple of days.
All right. So from Flying Jeff, 1984, now the shoes don't match. Seriously, black soul versus white soul.
Yeah, that goes along with, and we covered the CERT team investigation in our previous episode when the search team went in. They found John O'Keefe's other shoe. The first one that they found on him had a white sole. The one that the CERT team found, at least from the photograph that was shown, it had a black sole. Yeah. Okay. The next commenter here is talking about the texts. Discworld Edge Witch. I love these names. I think it's worth noting that the only reason why Bukhenik ended up reading all the texts is because he refused to acknowledge that the texts between Karen and Higgins were flirtatious. And this kind of goes to what I said before. The more he kind of to back away from reality, the more it was pressed into him. So,
Tarar 3280. The voicemails are unflattering, but don't imply to me that she knows she injured or killed him. I agree that if she was trying to cover her tracks and create an alibi, she would leave a nice voicemail like, have a great time at Fairview. I'll be here with the kids when you get back, or just play dumb and not leave any voicemails. Yeah, the fact that she kept trying to call and she was leaving voicemails, at least for me, it indicates that she didn't know that anything had happened and that he was just ignoring her.
And going by our commenters, and I think they're probably a good cross-section of just people who are on the jury, I think it's kind of split. I think a lot of people are on both sides of this, but a lot of people do think that that's true. Then we have number 2, men to
me,
you.
not you.
You're right. Yeah, I said that to myself when I was putting the slide together. Me, not you. 9406. The text being read was punishment for Bukhenik for refusing to answer the question about the nature of the text from Jackson. The judge called for a sidebar when Jackson asked him to read them. She asked Jackson if he intended to have them read, all of them. His response was, well, I am now. So another lesson to Mr. Bukhenik and any other people that want to go on the stand and be evasive. The more evasive you are, the more a skillful attorney is just going to push it in your face. And that's just another example of that.
Fringe possible 8071. A single impact with a 220-pound human being, essentially 70% water, cannot possibly shatter high impact plastic into 46 pieces. The defense should have gotten a vehicle accident expert to discuss the way plastic breaks under different circumstances. Is ARCA able to do this? Or is what they are prohibited from bringing up? And
We don't know the answer to that yet. Hopefully, we'll find that out really soon. Hopefully, we will find out what additional information they were able to glean other than what they presented in trial one. But note down on the bottom right-hand corner, there's Yuri Bukhenik on his last day on the stand showing more pieces of this tail light with the judge kind of looking on. You know, you got to wonder what's on her mind.
kind of reminds me of those crazy Instagram videos where you'll see someone like trying to break like a car, like they'll be pissed at whoever's in the car and they're like trying to shatter the glass, and no matter what they do, they can't really break it, except some people, like when they get on top of the car and like jump onto the glass, are able to crack it. But the shattering and spreading it everywhere is kind of crazy.
Okay. The world is watching. We're now up to 59 countries have represented questions that have come into our comment section on just on the Reed case. And by popular demand, for a couple of weeks, people have been demanding, you've got to put those countries in alphabetical order. So I did, through the wonders of modern office software. I just cranked them all in there and cranked them back out. So if you are watching from a country that's not on the list, and you can freeze frame or pause here and easily find whether your country is on the list or not, you know, and there they are. 59. I was hoping for 60 before the state rested its case. But so anyhow, those are the countries from where we have received comments and questions. And then this is our new feature. And it was only 10 days ago that I said I capitulated to our commenters who said, why aren't you keeping track of the states that are following this case? So it was only 10 days ago I announced that we're going to start keeping track of the states, and that we're up to 46 states. We're up to 46. It might
be easier to start counting which ones we don't have at this point. Who are we missing?
4 of them, and I'm not going to give them away, but one of them begins with a D, and it's one of the states where I went to the beach as a child when I lived in Pennsylvania. Starts with a D. Starts with a D. And one of the other states begins with an M, and it's Blue Sky Country. And so we're not going to prompt them. We want people to be honest. I was really impressed that, you know, our commenters said, why don't you keep track of states? And so only 10 days ago did I say, okay, we'll keep track of states. And in 10 days, we've got 46 of them. And one commenter said, what about us in D.C.? So I added D.C. It's not a state, but there it is. Okay.
Everybody's just going to start asking for their cities.
Yeah, so now we have the Kohberger case.
Yeah, so we have Carol Ann 3903. Great show again. Please, can you comment on possible tainting of the jury with the Dateline show? And how do people get a hold of evidence prior to the trial with the gag order? Sorry, but I'm not from the U.S. and really don't understand. Okay, so we hope that you've told us what country that you are following us from, so you're on the list. But the answer to that question is that the non-dissemination order pertains only to the attorneys and other people closely involved in the case. Doesn't stop the press. And so whatever Dateline did, and, you know, enough other people have commented about the Dateline special. It was on NBC, which a lot of people regard as standing for nothing but crap. I mean, you know, a lot of, in my perception, a lot, not all, but a lot of the stuff that was on this special was stuff that Howard Blum had already talked about in his book, and they expanded on it. They got more video, got more graphics, got more interviews. And some of it, to be true, they did glean from Brian Kohberger's phone, and we haven't heard all of that before, so they have a source somewhere, I guess. I don't know. But again, this is the network where their 6 o'clock anchor was kicked off the 6 o'clock news show because he was making up the news. He was saying that he was in a helicopter being shot at over Afghanistan, and it turned out it was all made up and it was fake. So it's the same network. So I don't know. I don't give it a whole lot of credence. Maybe some of it's true. I don't know. He's now down at the
little sister network, MSNBC.
Yeah, I do want to say, because they were asking about the possible tainting of the jury pool, and
Oh,
that's just they will do like those interviews and talk to them and figure it out, and saying like, despite what you know, like, are you able to be impartial? So it's asking questions to try to see if that person is coming in with
Yeah,
bias.
Yeah, the touchstone isn't whether the jury is informed or not. The question for the jury is whether, despite anything that they've heard, they can remain impartial. And that's called the magic question. A good court doesn't just ask the magic question. They ask more penetrating questions about what their biases and beliefs are, and whether, despite any biases that they have, they could still be impartial. So it's an issue. But here in the United States, where we have a free press, they can dig stuff up. And if they dig stuff up and I'm wrong and it's not nothing but crap, the goal is that we have the ability to find jurors who will be impartial. So this is from James Cruz, J81. This is the new selfie purportedly dug up by the new Dateline. It's a bloody miracle that he ever got into university in the first place. If he has all these things wrong with him, how did he ever get into the bloody university in the first place? That's all. That's what I want to know.
I mean, anybody who's been to school can comment on the fact that they've definitely been in class with people who shouldn't be there. So regardless of, even if you have all these things going on, you can overcome as well.
Yeah, but that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is that there are a lot of highly functioning people that are on the scale. There are a lot of highly functioning people that have OCD and who have ADHD, and he was said to be on the autism scale. So, those are three conditions that he said his attorney said that he had, and they were only raised in the line of mitigating factors if it gets to the death penalty phase. And so, I've known people that had those three issues, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're not, functioning or highly functioning people. So the guy got all the way up to his beginning year as a PhD student. So I don't know.
And I've also known, because he had his addiction problems in the past, I've known people who were in the depths of dope addiction that were able to still graduate college. So, if there's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
Jason Ellis, 9777. I think BK definitely was involved, if not solely responsible. That being said, I do think I would have a hard time sentencing someone to death based on the evidence we have been allowed to hear. This is a terrible crime, and the circumstantial evidence is piling up. The DNA on the knife sheath is pretty bad. Besides the police framing him, how do you explain that away? Love your open coverage of the case. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I tend to agree with that. I don't know. I'm not sure. And comment down below. Tell me I'm right. Tell me why. Don't just call me names, because that gets boring. I've been called every name in the book. All right. George Carlin's 7 dirty words aside. Tell me why you disagree with me. But I tend to think that I don't believe beyond all reasonable doubt that he was involved. And I definitely don't believe he did it on his own. So I agree with you 90% of the way, Jason Ellis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree that we talked about before that it is kind of crazy to get all those people down by one person and so quick. Okay,
so Lumiere, this is expected to be a lengthy trial. Do you think Kohberger will take the stand at any point? No, I highly doubt it. He is a highly functioning person, despite the issues that we just talked about. He's a highly functioning person. He was a PhD student. I tend to believe that he will take the advice of his counsel. I highly regard his counsel. He has three or four attorneys of record in this case now at this time, and they have huge staffs. Not only the attorneys in Moscow, but also at the Attorney General's office. So I think he will take their advice. I'll ask our viewers this question. Do you think Kohberger will take the stand at any point? And my answer is no.
to the Void says the prosecution put the family on witness list mostly to inflict psychological damage on BK. The only thing they may question them about is that's relevant is computer usage by people in the house. Milty and Hush Jennings seem especially cruel. I don't think they will actually call them as witnesses at all in the end.
I doubt it. Why would the prosecution call family members who are going to be adverse witnesses? Why would they call them? I mean, oh yeah, he stole his sister's watch.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it. I really highly doubt it, but you just, you never know.
Yeah, I don't really understand the thought process behind that, but like you said about like the watch and things like that, and just trying to make him, I was gonna say trying to make him look bad, but you're not really allowed to do that, right? By just bringing like character.
No, character evidence is not allowed, but as we all know, trial attorneys have ways around all of that. And we always remind our viewers that this is the case of the Idaho 4, the horrible tragedy that occurred back on November 13th of 2022. It is about Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonsalves, and Xana Kernodle. And, our hearts go out to the families. We hope that they get justice, no matter what that means. People always imply that I mean one thing or another, and I don't. I just, a lot of compassion for these families. It's just, when I was speaking to one of their parents a while ago, they said, Andrew, do you realize that we're real people here and these are our real kids? Do you realize that this is not just something for you to talk about on your podcast? Do you realize that this, this is real people, real families, real friends, close people. And so I don't know how else to drive that point home. I've said it before. So that's the only way I know to make that point. So that brings us to the end of this, what used to be a very short midweek comment section, but I just couldn't, watching Mr. Bukhenik on the stand, I couldn't resist. Maybe we should have a new feature called the Witness of the Week.
That's Witness of the Week, actually, seriously. I mean, he definitely was some type of witness. Oh my goodness. Just him talking, it does not do a good job. And, everybody has their different things going on, and his job here isn't to be likable, but he definitely did not make himself likable in my eyes, at least.
So our next episode will be this weekend. We don't have time to, there's a lot of people out there that just cover this from gavel to gavel. And I'm practicing. I've got files on my desk. I've got calls that people want me to I can think of 2 right now, and I see another one. I have obligations and responsibilities as a still practicing attorney in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And, so I don't have the time to just sit there all day and make, I was going to say snarky comments, but, and sit there and comment on the thing. But so we'll do our best to do weekend summary editions. And maybe if you want us to, we'll, instead of doing our midweek comments only section, we'll do the Witness of the Week. Last week, it was Lieutenant Paul Gallagher. This week, it was Yuri Bukhenik. If you have any idea who our Witness of the Week should be next week, let us know. Do you have any closing thoughts? That's mine.
No, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think that I'm waiting. I'm interested in seeing how this is going to turn out. I feel like it's heading towards another mistrial, but I'd like to also believe in a universe where we're talking about other court cases other than Karen Reed. So we do appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Be sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already and made it this far.
I have to add, a lot of people are out there like selling stuff. They're selling face cream. They're selling financial advisors. They're selling T-shirts, mugs, drink containers, all that good stuff. You can get all that stuff at Target. You can get all that stuff anywhere else. We don't have, we don't huckster stuff. We've been called grifters. We're only, Mark Better agreed that we're only part-time grifters on this channel. We're not going to try and sell you something. And if you have YouTube Pro or the professional YouTube version, you won't get any commercials at all, so you can watch this all the way through. All you've got to do, and we ask you to go down below and subscribe and like, because that that helps us. And I have said before that if we get 20,000 subscribers before the 4th of July, we'll have our own little private fireworks show on this channel. So help us out. I hope I don't have to get out the fireworks, but I will. All right, thank you. Thank you. It's time to go to the grocery store.
Whether you are in the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere else, please remember to be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. And the same goes for our comment section. We want you to comment, but be nice, be kind, be positive if you can. And thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.